Recording.
Yay, recording. Whee!
Here we go.
Come on. Well, you can do it. You can do it. No.
Bring me everyone. What do you mean, everyone?
Welcome to Everyone Racers.
It's a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture.
It doesn't matter what kind of limit champ
Or lucky track dog league you run.
SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate.
as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself.
Join us each week for tech discussions,
Tips, tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of amateur endurance racing.
And whether it's on the spot,
hella sweet.
Or we're lucky enough,
and Chrissy,
and Chrissy,
I give you just the tip.
we're sure you'll giggle a little.
and learn even less.
Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
And I'm Mental.
Hi.
And hello. Welcome to a Gimme a 341 episode of our podcast. It is episode 341, and the Air Force Air Education and Training Command Form 341 is the primary method that AETC uses to document discrepancies and excellence for non-prior service recruits in both basic training and Air Force technical schools. Now that anyone who's graduated from Air Force Basic is now having a PTSD episode, we can give ourselves a 341 because we still haven't come up with a bingo card.
I'm not sure I follow what that is.
It
Is
is
it like
literally a
Performance
trouble?
evaluation, or is it
square sheet of paper, and you have to have
It's like a
three of them
certificate?
on you at all times. And the TI will come up and say, give me a 341 because you had your hands in your pockets, or your uniform is wrong, or your room is dirty. And
Oh,
then-
it's like a get out of jail free card.
oh no,
but the
it
other
is
way,
a
no, it's
go
you're
to
in
jail
trouble.
later.
Go to
card.
jail later card. I thought you were
Yes.
giving them. You
Well,
were
you
giving
have to have
somebody
them.
them.
You have to have the
you
form.
so that the person who's going to write you up has a form to write you up on. If you don't have one, that's an extra reason to write you up.
Oh, I
And
got
you're
it. That's
in worse
too
trouble by not
oh,
having
okay.
the form. Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
This
I can
this
see
was
how that's
deep
the
and great,
PTSD, yeah.
and
something we learned something today.
we
Well,
learned
some of
something
us did.
today. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
You typically have to have three of them on you at all times, and usually the follow-on question from whatever you just gave up a 341 for was, how many 341s do you have? And if the answer was less than three, then they got another one from you for not having a 341, and you hoped you could make it back to your locker to get enough of them. I once had a 341 pulled for having too many 341s because I had 7, because I got into a lot of trouble.
Now,
This
you said they
sounds
could be used for
stressful.
excellence too.
They could.
So, but that doesn't sound like it happened very often based on your
No. Yeah.
PTSD reaction to it. Okay.
This sounds stressful. I'm very sorry that this
That's
But
what it's there
obviously-
for.
Okay, great. That's why I'm not in the Air Force. Anyway, great. What you working? Mental. It's blank here. What are you working on?
I honestly had to put some thought into this.
Oh.
I've just been
What have
moving
I been
stuff
doing?
around and like cleaning, my garage, trying to get some stuff done. I've got
Okay.
a welding project I've been working on, but I haven't really done anything. I had every intention of putting a battery in the Honda and seeing if I could get the ignition to turn. And I just got behind on Saturday and didn't get around to doing really anything. Met up with
That's
some friends
okay.
Saturday night, and then Sunday is Vicky and my day. So didn't do any work.
Sounds great.
Those days are important.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have been quite busy, as anyone who
busy.
follows our social medias can see.
Yes, we were. I'll go, I guess. I was helping with the fiddly bits. We're putting some plastic parts on and making a bracket. And so I was helping Chris in the garage on Saturday. It was cold and rainy here, so it's kind of miserable to be anywhere else. So the garage was fine. And then Sunday was my day. So I went out with a good friend, sat at a winery for a good couple hours and just enjoyed the sun and views. And yeah, so it was nice, relaxing Sunday. Chris, what are you doing?
I was working on the cars, basically. Someone's got to do it. It's Friday. I took a half day because it was a gorgeous day and my schedule was actually clear at work. So I did a junkyard run because I knew from watching the online inventory that 2 new first generation Mazda 3s had made it into the yard. needed to go there and grab that core support and a couple other plastic bits early on. By the time I got there, one of them had already got a fender taken and headlights taken and the bumper taken, but I was able to get everything I need from the pair of them and somehow got the core support, got some other underbody plastics.
One of them was ready for you. So
it was with the bumper.
They had taken everything
pulled.
Off
It's right there. It's like, well,
Yay.
this is convenient. Thank you. So got that stuff all there. Then the next day had those parts. Well, they got put on the car with including like radiator and headlights, and made a new mounting for the oil cooler that is lighter and a better design. It keeps the oil cooler closer to the radiator. It also has some air ducting improvements so that any air that gets in the front of the car is forced to go through the radiator instead of potentially being able to slip around, because the car does run a little warm. Mazda seems to think it's perfectly fine, the temperature it runs, but the more air we can force through the radiator, the better it's going to be. So did all of that. I also then started working on repairing the bumper. It was cracked in a couple spots. So I basically built a boat, as I do with these kind of things, because I have that stuff. So I fiberglass various different kinds and layers of fiberglass and fillers and stuff. And now it has just got primer on it tonight. So that's going to dry for 48 hours. So then Friday I can sand it. Actually, tomorrow I can sand it, and Friday I can put the finished coats on. So we're getting there.
So if you live near Pennsylvania and you have a first generation Mazda 3 sedan, because I did not double check my order, I sent a bumper, a fender, and headlight. Well, the headlight got returned.
Headlight did return. I have not figured out how to do the freight for the other stuff yet.
Well, it's not worth it because I have to eat the freight cost,
Okay.
which was twice the price of the.
Yeah.
So I'm not. So if you live near there and you would like a brand new unmounted fender and bumper for your sedan, very important, not your hatchback, contact us, and it's yours, free for $1. Because
free for $1.
Free for $1. Because the bumper had to be delivered by truck, and they warned me that the delivery fee was non-refundable. And if I want a refund for the cost of the bumper, I have to pay to ship it back to them, which is twice the cost of the bumper. So I'm just dumb.
Well, we race with at least one
Mhm.
sedan. I'm not sure it's.
Oh,
that
yeah, I mean, these are
The only
perfectly
thing I
good
could
for
think
like
of
your
is
civilian car too.
Oh, sure.
Kim's car.
Yeah.
The bumper is held together with
Oh,
zip
zip
ties
ties.
and drywall screws.
Yeah, and it's black already.
It is. It's unprimed. Well, it's black.
Oh.
It's raw, but that car's already black. Maybe we could make that work. Anyway,
I know, a free for $1.
right.
I don't think that's her
Free-
highest
free
his
fitty.
high-
Yes.
her
Yes,
highest concern,
please.
but maybe.
Yeah.
All right,
Please,
good idea.
please consider that some sort of payoff to my karmic debt.
It'll go somewhere because it's too
Yep.
big for it to sit in the garage unused.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Nancy goes.
Okay. Hey, so a hat tip to last week's guest, Tim Burr, for this one. The website Eco News has a piece about an Austrian company and a new prototype hydrogen engine. Now, unlike the hydrogen cells of the previous iteration, like that Honda Civic, AVL, or Chris, can you pronounce that?
Anstalt für Verbrennung gedünnt Kraftmaschinen.
AVL uses direct hydrogen injection. Now, D. Garcia at that website tells us the automotive engineering company's prototype claims 400 horsepower with 0 CO2 emissions. Now, obviously,
Okay.
this makes it's an internal combustion style engine on the same kind of ground traditional as gasoline powered motors, and it keeps a similar driving experience. And now in transition to cleaner energy, the technology builds on their decades of experience in high performance powertrains. Preliminary tests show tremendous promise for racing applications, as motorsports always provides an ideal testing ground for development of this hydrogen engine technology. AVL claims their new power plant drives with the same sound, emotion, and excitement of combustion engines. AVL, if you're listening, do you know what makes a great testing and development environment?
A podcaster.
Amateur endurance racing.
How about a podcaster? We'll test it out for
Boom,
you.
there it is. And I am certain, absolutely nothing will go wrong with a direct injected hydrogen motor in Lemons. Hit us up. We can talk.
Make sure to talk to Pagel before you put a hydrogen powered car on track. Just saying.
And how do you?
I just want to say that word. Like now, I've looked at it, I can say it correctly. Verbrennungskraftmaschinen, which
Thank you.
translates to internal combustion engine. So Verbrenning is internal. It's Verbrennungskraft and the machine and engine. Yeah. So
That's usually how. Yes, that's how most German in Austria.
It all makes perfect sense.
Yes,
and
they follow logic.
Keep adding them on. Right.
Yeah.
You just and
it's all
eliminate
just a word.
spaces.
And you just say every letter, and it's all comes together.
I do remember the original. I remember learning the original word for diesel engine was. I think I've made this joke, but it's not a joke. Was internal combustion engine that does not run on gasoline. But luckily, the guy that invented it was diesel.
Makes it easier. Thanks, Rudolph.
Also, where does one get hydrogen? Just put in a car.
In California, they do have hydrogen filling stations for the few. There's Honda made some and Toyota made some hydrogen fuel cell cars out there, and so there's actually a hydrogen kind of corridor-ish area down and around LA, I think.
All right. If you live there, that's where you can have it. But here I'd be like, I'm not really sure how to fill this car because I don't have a place to get it. Go to the hydrogen store.
Yeah.
Grocery.
There was some recent company that still uses a stock photo of one of their best former employees. And it's not a foreign company. It's an American
it's only propane. Not hydrogen.
Really?
Just propane. Yep.
Because
air gas.
Air gas.
Air gas. Yes.
Air gas. Yes.
Not where the stock photo is from. Is a propane company.
That would have been so much better if it were air gas that person used to work for, because then we could have gotten more.
Let's not get this
stuff.
Stop it. Okay. Anyway, all right, it's my story time. Okay, did you know of a racetrack and now that one is no longer? Sometimes those memories are not the only thing that fades back into the earth. There is a recent article that shows us 10 more abandoned racetracks from Google Earth. From road courses to small ovals and a super speedway, some look ready for action while others are virtually unrecognizable. Chris Smith from Motor One claims that they had help from finding racetracks lost to time, but really it's probably two guys that have nothing else to do, just search Google Earth and find cool things. Anyway, their latest find covers sprawling courses, small town Saturday night circle tracks, and even a gigantic super speedway that Google satellites caught before and during its destruction. Do you want to share this, or are you just waiting for me to be done? Or not, that's fine too. There is a road course from Iowa that still looks like part of an active track. Sag Harbor, New York, that is now a golf course, and Pequawee, Wisconsin, that is now a subdivision. And then there's circle tracks in Smithton, PA, Indiana, and with the remains of Texas World Speedway, some paved, some dirt, some overgrown, so much that it's hard to see that there was a track there anyway. Obviously, this article is something that you have to open and look at. Link is in our notes for your viewing pleasure and mental scrolling through. And apparently this article is 10 more tracks. So they've already had articles, but this one was floating around the internet and I thought it was cool. I can imagine that there are some of these tracks that, especially from afar, like that one, this is a subdivision that you can see half of where it was. And a lot of these have the background information. Some of them have anecdotes of, I remember going to this and this is where I raced and this is what it did. And it was cool. So kind of fun.
Texas World is a heartbreaker. That was my third ever Lemons race.
Wow.
And little known fact, if you look at the older satellite photos of Lime Rock, you can see where they were supposed to extend Lime Rock straight and make a different turn one, a different configuration. And the path through the woods was still there too. I don't see that one on here.
It is not on here. Nope. That one, it might be on the first set, but yeah, this is kind of fun to see.
Absolutely. Interesting article. Great.
Great.
All right. Mike Hembry at Auto Week has a story you might have seen coming if you've ever raced at Barber. And if you've never raced at Barber, you really should. It's great. It's just outside of Birmingham, Alabama. And its track is really known for its museum and its art. The grounds are really covered with some serious, some whimsical, some wacky bits, sculptures, creations. I mean, everything from the giant spider that you can see easily to little like gargoyles climbing out of the storm drains, and just little touches everywhere. There's a lot of Easter eggs hidden around Barber if you really look. That's pretty neat. It's also one of the best road courses in the US. And so it was a stop on the IndyCar circuit. So last week, in the heat of battle, Georgianna, the famed mannequin that hangs under the extended pedestrian bridge, decided she had enough and let go. And I'll clarify, she's not hanging like lynching hanging. She's like hanging by her hands like she fell or is climbing or trying to monkey bars her way across that, to make it very clear. It's a different kind of hanging. And definitely all of us have seen that when we didn't know it was there and went, what the, as you go under the bridge, because it's pretty clear. Anyway, she let go in the middle of a race. She landed feet first and then fell onto the edge of the track.
Yep.
Now, a few seconds later, a passing race car mashed her, but she will recover, but her hand is gone. But she landed next to the track. And
Can you
fell into the
imagine?
track.
We show up
Especially-
as hearts that beat to a different drum.
Stupid
Oh, it's
commercial.
so
I'm trying
nice.
to
Stupid
get to
commercial.
The tiniest detail.
Oh,
Hurry
yep.
up,
It's
Gimmie.
so great.
Answered
But anyway, so yes,
Yep.
there she is
Yeah.
falling.
It's
I
funny
just-
that somebody caught
It's
her. Or
better
caught-
that it wasn't
caught you.
directly like onto the race car, although it would have been a funnier video if she
Yeah.
fell onto the race car. But there's a great picture of them sitting holding hands afterwards, the guy that hit the car and her. So yeah.
But he's the guy that won.
Oh, even better. He said at the end, he sitting there and said, had to meet the old girl, even though she nearly ruined my race.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, glad she's not like dead. Like
No.
gone. Like if
Not
she,
at all.
if she fell and if like bounced into the track, I mean, what
Right.
else can you
or
do?
onto someone
And
or
how
someone
right? How
spun out
scary
because
is
of that.
Yeah. And you don't know if it's a mannequin. You just think it's a person that's in the middle of the track, right? Like, how would you not know right away? That would be
It felt
scary.
like right in front of you. You'd forget at the point. Oh yeah, that's that. lady
Oh,
that
I
hangs
would
in-
not. I would forget. Absolutely. I would
Oh,
think
you
it was a person,
No!
Yeah.
Someone fell off the bridge.
right?
Yeah.
That's what I would
Absolutely.
think. Oh gosh. All right.
I have no good segue for this one.
Okay, it's fine.
Between
Just move
Well, hold
on.
on, hold on.
Between
I
that-
think we can do it if we segue just like this.
Oh, you
segue
gave it away.
is-
Okay. Yes.
Do you ever look longingly at an antique car and think, I just can't afford one of those? Well, you sure can. Racing Junk introduced us to a 1959 Ford Fairlane here, and it's a mere $8,500. And it's about an hour from us. So if you want to buy it, stop by for beers. The best part is the description. And this is the kind of guy with a 59 Fairlane for cheap. Older restoration.
It just says like item description.
Yeah.
Older
yeah.
restoration.
Yep.
Additional
It-
seller notes.
Yes. Open to trade open to any trade, text for more photos. Then this is, as I pause, these are the lines. Yes, it's pink. 400 cubic inch. 5-speed. Fast as hell.
Great.
Yeah. This guy sounds like a character. But
Yeah, he does.
definitely was not smart because he didn't get the premium membership,
Nope.
because I want to see more of this
Seriously,
spectacular automobile.
look at
Right?
like
This
the
is-
pinstriping on it. I want to see. I want to hear that story. And it's not just one shade of pink. It's several like well done
Yeah,
shades
it
of
is.
pink.
Yeah, it is.
It's got some, it's shading. There's gradients. There's someone
And
puts
this is
a
the
lot
kind
of
of thing
effort
like
into
you
that.
walk around and I want to see, I'm sure the interior is good at least, right? I'm sure somebody cared about it and
Yeah.
I want to at least see some more. Come on.
I mean, the body looks really straight. The bumper's painted pink, but there's no dents that I can see. Yeah, this guy really blew an opportunity to do something cool.
And it's
Fat-
obviously had a
fast
lot
as
of work
hell.
if someone put a 400 and a 5-speed into a 59 Fairlane. Like there's effort there.
Yeah, I
Missing
wanna
out.
see that effort.
Missing
Yep.
out.
And
well.
it's not like it's expensive. It's not like he couldn't have used code pod 23.
Is that
Little
work?
joy scrolling. Hashtag
Apparently.
RJ
Oh.
Joy Scrolling, which if you do this, if you guys go onto Racing Junk and you find something cool, send that to us and
Oh,
we're going to put it up
sure.
there.
Oh,
And
that would be
also,
awesome.
yeah, and put it
idea.
on your social medias with the hashtag RJ Joy Scrolling, because that'll make us look good
I love
to
it.
our media partners.
And I sometimes we were like, oh, what's on race? I shouldn't say this at all. We always find something great on Racing Junk, but sometimes we have to look a little harder than others. So if you find something cool, that's a great idea. Love it.
Mhm.
Okay, let's move on. Upcoming races.
Lemons is at Hallett. There are 50 cars, of which 6 are BMWs.
That's a great
Nice
ratio.
job, Okies. That's good. 6 of them are Miatas. Great. 4 Hondas, 1 Porsche. Like, so that means only like a quarter of the field is a common race car. So what are all the rest of these things? Well, Eric Root himself said, holy growth back, man. We picked up 10 cars over the last year. I said one of the 50 paid entrants is already a scratch, possibly. And the field is really good. There's a Yugo, a new Yugo. Lemon's first boxy Foxy Cougar, run by a team also with a Bobcat. So they are doubled up on the Mercury. We have a mid-engine slant 6 Magnum.
That's from our buddies. That is from
That's what
FOMOCO.
they use at the Focus. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
We've got a notchback Celica from Albuquerque.
Oh,
We've got
so
rookies with a Grand Cherokee, because nothing says race car like a Grand Cherokee, or Blazer with burgers. How do you go wrong? There's a
Okay.
Ranger for Sajeev.
good.
And
That
there's
Ranger was the
Yeah.
same Ranger from Houston, but there's a new engine, and you're going to want to see it.
Oh,
Excellent. There's a stockish Fiat X19 somehow in Oklahoma. And the Resistance is there, and they are always entertaining. So that's a great field. I'm glad they've upped their field size so they can keep doing Hallett. That's great.
And your judges are
yes.
Tom Webb, Sajeev, of course, and the court reporter is going to be Aaron Cole. Now, Sajeev likes fiddly bits of little tiny Fords, especially digital dash 80s Fords. Tom Webb has already put out there that he wants classic rock cassettes or those cartoons magazines, like from back in the day with literally just like the hot rod magazines with nothing on there. So you have to put a little thought into that bribe, but those are some easy bribes, man.
And if you still haven't themed your car, just even painting it brown is a nice start. It'll get you in the right going the
Is
right
it
way.
is brown a theme because you're pandering to judges?
Yeah, brown can
Judge
be a
And there's
theme
your
to Sajeev
theme.
there.
I'm
Yeah.
pandering. Boom.
And if you wore panda costumes,
We just gave you the theme.
right?
There is a Party Galaxy in Tulsa. There is one in Oklahoma City. If you're driving up from Texas on the way, this
Party
is not hard to do.
Galaxy.
Do not show up with a weak theme, because Tom's there, Jan's probably there. So, and none of those people, Aaron Cole as well, are putting up with weak themes.
No. And we
I
just
already
gave
know
you a
some of the
great one
themes, and
that's
they're
not hard.
fantastic.
We just
Yeah.
made it up on the fly
Yep.
because we're hilarious. Okay.
This is not hard. Just
I
theme,
don't-
people. Yeah. Boom.
Right. Thanks for giving the judges. I read it and I didn't copy it here. So I don't know if we really talk about this anymore, but I just decided to look it up and I thought, what? Yeah, what?
Why not?
AER?
Absolutely. No, because they're down
Go
to
for
like
it.
6 races a year, and it's a good crew to run with.
AER is at the Glen. Oh, you have a friend. That's nice.
Mhm.
62 cars. Wow.
Hey, it's the
that's
Glen, so
right,
that's why.
right. And
But
not everybody's.
here's the surprise.
What's the surprise? 38 BMWs.
I thought it would be more.
Boring.
I did my count
Only
multiple times.
38?
2 Miatas. I had to look it up twice and I had to do MX whatever, all of them,
Uh-huh.
and Miatas. And I looked through them and I only found 2, which is weird. 6 Hondas, 8 Porsches. And surprisingly, I was like, what else is here? A Mustang, an RX-7, an RX-8, and a Ferrari 458 Challenge, and a Corvette. And it's not all of them, but I couldn't find anything else interesting.
I mean, it's not 3/4 BMWs, so
I know.
that's nice.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well-
also this weekend is the Lucky Dog Desert Dash and Cinco de Mayo celebration at Willow Springs. And I failed to email Charlene and get the entry list, but it's Lucky Dog at Willow Springs. They're going to have a great time, and they are going to get to sample the repave, which is,
Oh,
ooh, yes, Willow Springs finally got a repave because it used to be like CMP that they
Grit-
left out
grit.
for another 20 years. It
Oh
Oh.
no.
just so
So
bad. The last race I did
12
there,
grit sandpaper.
oh God. I mean, you could
Yeah.
hear, like as a spectator, you could hear the cars coming.
that's awful.
like-
You're like, how many thousands of dollars going down the drain because of from tires alone
Yes.
when it's that
yes.
bad?
And I remember the last race I did there, it was an Asa Enduro, and the final corner in this, Rosamond, California is deep in the heart of California meth country. So there's no light out there. And it's the final corner. And they warned us beforehand, hey, the pavement is coming up here. So we're just going to put a cone on it.
No, that's not okay.
It
The racers
turned
are
out to
very
be a really,
respectful of
and it
cones.
was like
Right.
right where the apex was. The cone was right where you wanted to be. So you just kind of
Oh.
like, dug in and pointed at the cone. Okay, I can unwind the
Yeah.
wheel now.
Oh, until 3 laps later when somebody just goes, 2 wide or 3 wide and then just takes that cone out, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a wide track. So I'm very excited. I need to find one of the track day people that run events out there and get out there. And the California crew, if you guys are listening, sorry for party, we need to find an excuse to go out there and just do a track day with all the fun stuff. So
Also, they said on there that it was a Cinco de Mayo party. We've been at races with Lucky Dog that has a party atmosphere and it's like off the hook. They
I'm sure they'll
usually
have a great time.
right, because we were there and they were doing, I don't know,
They had a taco
we had
truck
taco
and-
truck, yeah, and it was amazing. And so that it's almost better because it's potluck, but they're organization is
it's a
running it.
potluck you don't have to bring food to.
That's
because they
what I'm
take care
getting
of
at.
it
Yeah,
themselves,
Yeah.
which means 0 potato salad. I've never had potato salad
Right?
at a Lucky Dog race.
Right. And if there is, that's okay because it wasn't a whole lot of it because somebody brought it. Anyway, recent results.
Oh, I feel like
Lemons was
that's
at the
over here.
Ridge. Winner on laps was M45 Racing in a Subaru WRX. That's very boring. Winner in Class B, non-player special in a Subaru Legacy wagon. Okay, good for you. Winner in Class C, the Racing Principles in a 91 Escort GT. Org Choice, SM Racing, not in a Citroen, unfortunately, but
Nope.
in a Lincoln Mark 7. So that's cool.
It was this close to being an all Subaru podium. We were watching the results out here, and Judge Corey was judging that one, and they were giving him static about the all Subaru, and he's like, "It's the Pacific Northwest. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a Subaru up here."
And that's the first time more than one Subaru has made the podium like ever because
Yes,
it's Subarus. They all blow up.
they
all of
and the reason they didn't blow up is it rained all weekend.
Oh, which means they kicked
everyone
ass.
could not go full tilt on
Yeah.
that one. So.
Mhm.
That'll do
Heroic
it.
Fix was Silver Sleeves Racing in their 63 Lotus Cortina, which
Great
is just
folks.
awesome.
Yeah, we're great friends with them.
Yep.
Well, good friends with them.
The
We were.
judge's choice was the Teeny Weenies in a 96 Subaru. Impreza Outback, and Screwed was Team Drift Missile and a 99 BMW 323 E46 Step 1. Don't bring a BMW to a rainy race. That's like bringing a Mustang.
The Flying Under the Radar went to Axhole Racing in a Dodge Neon. Halloween Meets Gasoline went to New Balance in a Subaru Legacy, and IOE went to Mopar Posers in a Dodge Intrepid. Sadly,
Not
we don't
enough
have much stories about these.
Intrepids and Concords and Visions and all those LH cars. And there needs to be more of those. They're so
I don't
bad.
think
And
there are anymore. We were all at a race at Summit Point where we watched one get blown up.
they were so
Well,
bad.
it's also
That's
East
true.
Coast. You might be able to find them on not
That's one of those
East
cars that was
Coast.
everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And then gone.
Yeah,
Like,
they
it
were
turned around.
disposable.
They were all sold to 16-year-olds that crashed them.
Intrepids,
I don't think they were sold. I think they were given.
Oh,
Company
I was thinking
cars.
I was thinking of grandmom gave you a car and now you're because you're 16. I don't know.
Definitely did hot laps in a friend's.
All right. Somebody's gigablasting.
Good,
I don't think it's
That
me.
car was terrible.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well. Anyway.
Okay,
Moving
listener feedback.
On the YouTubes, DJ914 said, quote, great episode, as it always the case with T-Bizzle. This is a great weekend even with the weather and other issues. Although I am repeating myself, I love that theme. And that's high praise because he won Halloween is Gasoline.
And he knows how to theme.
Yeah. The only change suggested would be to tie in the car livery, but that Midori is too nice to change. I feel like I may have accelerated part of that.
Not for now.
No,
change.
no,
Nope.
it's good.
Okay.
We're
Nope.
good.
Yeah.
Leave it. All right.
Yeah. Randy said, quote, sausage theme, end quote. Tim, my boy, that's the Brighton hot dog shop. And it's a Beaver River Valley delicacy. I could see Randy. Randy could. He's.
I could feel like
you're
you're about to get a lecture.
You
Take
are.
a seat, pal.
You
he's
are.
gonna hand you
Jens
a
is gonna get
Werther's.
educated.
Yes, yeah. They make cups with anthropomorphized hot dogs that absolutely break all kinds of copyright laws, and we love them for it. Come to Beck's Pit next year, and we're gonna eat chili cheese dogs and chocolate peanut butter shakes until we puke. And Tim agreed. He said the peanut butter shake was amazing. I remember.
He did. He came over to us while we were doing our thing. He's like,
know.
dude, I got a peanut butter shake. And it's
And
not supposed
I
to be
wanted to,
good as it
wanted to
is.
stick another straw in it because it sounded amazing.
Yeah.
And then I think a couple other ones just sat on the judge's bench and we just
Tim was
watched
like, I
them
feel kind of
dry
bad
up.
eating this. It's like 2:00. I mean, this ice cream. I was like, what's so bad? 12-year-old you said this is the best day ever. You're eating ice cream
Right?
and hot dogs, and you just played video games and you're around race cars all day. He's like, hell yeah.
Yes. No, we should have tried some of those milkshakes. They look delicious.
I'm
And-
down. Next time I'm going to have to hit that place. Yeah.
Or just ask a local yokel to bring you one because Al and his whole team went home. So they probably passed one on the way. We probably just said, hey, can we have some breakfast hot dogs, please? Al, when you're listening, can you just bring us breakfast hot dogs, please? Then we could have just had hot
Or a
dogs.
milkshake.
And the milkshake. I'll have both.
Yeah, I'm hot or cold on the hot dogs, but I am all in on the peanut butter milkshake.
I don't really like hot dogs. If this is a hot dog shop and it is this amazing, when in Rome, when in Pittsburgh, eat the hot dog. Put that in the
Absolutely.
notes, please. Thank you. On the gram, I posted a bolt bin because Chris was rummaging and I was like, let's see what people's bolt bins are. So Brett said, I've got a leftover Ace Hardware bolt bin, the kind they sell bolts out of in the fastener aisle. A couple of years ago, I got it organized into bolts and nuts and washers and big bolts, screws, nails, random stuff. It cuts down on some of the sift and scan technique modeling Chris was modeling here. That's amazing. Good for you that you were able to organize this stuff so well. And oh my God, really said, I've actually started separating metric and imperial. I'm impressed with you guys that are actually trying to organize your bolt bins because we do not. Not true.
Mine got really out of hand in Georgia. Now, if it exceeds the coffee can, I dump the coffee can.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, we have saved so many things, and not just saved it in the bolt bin, but projects that were like stopped. Oh, I need this particular thing, and then instead of having to go get it, no, here it is. Ta-da.
And we also have done car specific, I should say. It's not everything that we own is not in that. We've done take a car apart. All of the Civic bolts were in a coffee container. All of the boat bolts were in a coffee container.
They were in an antifreeze jug.
I keep sandwich bags. Not even the Glad, like the cheap dollar store knockoff sandwich bags. Sharpie specific bolts. The back of the Civic is like that. The under of my workbench for the 914 is all of those bolts are labeled. My Terry X project, like I'm ever going to get around to it, but those bolts are all labeled. But just the generic, this might come in handy. Yeah, I've got one coffee can limit, and then it all gets dumped, and I start over.
I'm waiting for there to be a medium-aged child somehow tangentially in our life that I can pay. Like, hey, do you want $20? All right. Bolts in one, nuts in the other, washers in another one. If it's none of those over there, and then they're like, okay, and until they get bored, but whatever.
Let's say now, when you do that, because if I find a bolt and a nut that fit, I put those together.
I
Because
gotta start
usually if
somewhere.
I'm looking for something, I need something held in place.
Yeah. I have enough
Correct.
captive nuts in places that I can't always, but either way, I would be thrilled for them to be in 4 piles and they're not. So that's why some
And
child
half the
could do
time,
that.
you know
The money
what
job.
you also you know what you're looking for. So you
Yes,
have gone
by
through and you're
sight.
like, let me just dig this because I know what I'm. Yes, you know what you're looking for.
Hmm.
Yep.
Oh well.
Okay.
Bolt
You know
Maybe-
boxes
who
are fun.
never has to dig for important components for her art?
Yeah.
She kind of does, but she knows where they all are.
Correct.
At times you'll see her reach her entire arm into the back of the cabinet
And they're very long.
and whittle around, and then all of a sudden come out with this thing.
Yeah. We used to
Okay.
call the guy in the closet in the cabinet because he would know where things are. And so we had this long running joke that he would just go and go under the
She just
cabinet.
puts her hand back there, right?
Just to
and-
hand it to her.
yeah.
She occasionally has to look for things. She's not digging through bolt boxes, I'll tell you that. Nope.
So hello, Chrissy's mom.
Hi.
And even though she doesn't listen, today, as we are recording this, 1 May is my mama's birthday.
Oh, great.
The-
Happy
the-
birthday
the-
to her.
The lovely woman who tolerated and raised me and did her level best to keep me out of jail during my teenage years. Still back in Georgia. So happy birthday, mama.
Happy birthday, Metals Mom.
Awesome.
Great.
It's main topic time.
Metal went to Mid Ohio with WRL.
Seems like a
Those are
while
both-
ago,
Right.
But-
It was.
but we
It
didn't
was.
really talk about it because we saved a
No.
lot of this conversation for the pod. So we didn't even even when you were here,
Yeah.
we didn't really talk about it. So
Because of
you have
cat.
a different cat this time.
Right.
Okay.
But anyway, these are all things I'm actually interested in. Like I want to hear about the
Yeah.
experience. of it. Like I want to know all kinds of things about because I've never been to Mid Ohio. I've never raced with WRL.
All of
So-
the above.
These are things that are interesting. So I think we do our usual, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing, and then we've got some other specific questions or things we can talk about. So Metal, just like start us off. How was your travel in and because I know Thursday is a thing at WRL, so let's talk about that.
And Friday's a thing?
Oh, they're
Thursday
all
too?
a thing.
Oh,
But
okay, they're
Thursday
all
is
a thing.
too. Yeah.
Tell us
They're all-
all the things.
So
They're all things. So knowing then, and if you guys haven't caught up or you're just getting onto these, we knowing that I was going to be in that part of the country, I did some research, and because of the eclipse, airline tickets were stupid, like unbelievably expensive. So I actually flew into Philadelphia, rented a truck, and drove to Ohio because it was cheaper than even Cleveland or any of the Columbus, any airport in
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh even near the racetrack. So that was about a 6-hour drive. Chris sort of got this story. So we'll start with I landed. I flew out of here on a Wednesday. Landed just after midnight in Philadelphia. It is pouring rain. It is just absolute garbage weather, and it is cold. It is 12:45 before I get to the rental car counter, and I have procured my F-150 via Priceline. Now, the rental car company has my reservation. They have that it is marked prepaid, and the voucher that it is marked prepaid is under a different person's name. A Mark Thornham or something. I don't know. Someone I do not know is not related to me. And because
now your
of
nemesis or that's now your alias you're going to give when people
seriously,
ask you.
yeah, Rusty
Yeah,
Shackelford,
yeah.
I would have taken that. But so they can't give me the car because this is all perfectly reasonable. The voucher is not in my name. So
Sure.
right, technically it's not paid for. So I call Priceline, and their level 1 help desk says, "Oh, yes, that's happened several times. The only option we have is to cancel your reservation." I'm sorry. It is 1:00 in the morning. It's pouring down rain. I have to be in Ohio.
Like now.
This feels like a problem. Is there someone else I can talk to?
Is that what you said? Is that what you said?
Yes. And that was about as nice as I it went
Where
downhill
was
from
the
there.
whole time? Okay.
So I asked to speak to someone with some authority, and she said, well, they're not going to be able to help you either. They're going to tell you the same thing. Perhaps you can Uber. At this point, I left the building, went outside into the parking lot into the rain, and told her that no, I would not be Ubering because I'm in Philadelphia. And I screamed, and I need to be in fucking Ohio.
Oh my goodness.
Are you going to pay for my Uber? And she said, well, let me get a supervisor. And I said, do not ask your supervisor if they're going to pay for my damn Uber to Ohio. Get me someone who can get me a car.
Maybe they don't know how far away Philadelphia and Ohio is. Tell you what.
So level 2 checks my reservation, says everything should be fine. Try again. So I go to the counter. It's the exact same problem. They've done nothing. So I call back and I do this again. I talk to the level 1 person. I'm like, I explain the problem. And they're like, well, the only thing we can do is cancel this. This will not work. I need a car. It's 1 o'clock in the morning and there's only 3 rental car counters open and they're all run by the same 3 people. And they give me another level guy who says he cannot do anything. And it'll be 4 days before I can get my money back. As a battle of wills, I said, so you have my money. I have done nothing wrong. And I am now stranded in the rain in Philadelphia without a car that I paid for. And you didn't bother to tell me there was going to be a problem until I got here. I looked at my watch and we sat in silence on hold for 15 minutes because they would not answer that question. And finally I broke and I said, fine. Can you at least, call the rental car company and work through this? Sure. Puts me on hold, comes back and says, no one is answering. I'm sorry. What number did you dial? The number they gave us. I'm looking at the rental car counter. No phone rang. Would you like me to hand them the phone?
Just like, let me call you back on this. Couldn't you just hand them your phone?
Oh, this is literally the rental car people are like,
oh,
yeah,
I thought they like,
totally,
I thought he put you.
No, he called the corporate offices at
1
1:30 in the morning
No
and
one's
was
picking up.
surprised that no one answered. So,
Wow.
F you, Priceline.
Yeah.
So 3 days later, I got my money back. Meanwhile, the fine staff, the absolutely amazing staff at Philadelphia's Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
It's the first time anyone's ever used those words. By the way,
anytime ever. Yes.
Particularly Santana. She's fantastic. She says, do you really need a truck? Are you going to be doing some truck nonsense? Actually, she used a little bit more of my colloquialisms, but I don't want to sell her out.
Truck nonsense.
And I said, yeah, I really do kind of need a truck because I'm going to a track and we're going to be doing some dumb truck stuff. And she's like, cool. She puts me in as a walk up, gets me the exact truck I'd reserved for $80 less.
Why didn't we do this 4 hours ago?
She was waiting for Priceline to figure their crap out. And once Priceline couldn't figure it all out. So E1R top tip, just call Enterprise directly because they are all about helping you out. And within 10 minutes, I had a truck. I had a great truck full of gas. And so I wrote a 2-page thank you email on the Enterprise car site, naming everyone who helped me by name.
That's nice.
So
that is very
nice.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Couldn't be happier with how that played out. Sorry, we're here to talk about racing, not why Priceline sucks.
No,
but traveling and rental car stories is part of racing, actually.
It really is.
It's like, yes, the rental experience is what we could have. We can add to it.
So I had the F-150. It's the XL or the XLT, but it was the hybrid. So I had like the electric motors and everything. Good truck, got great gas mileage, pleasant to drive, easy interface with the stereo, really good, comfortable place to be in the pouring rain as you're driving to Ohio. Get there right as the sun comes up on Thursday and cannot go to the track. Or you can go to the track, but they turn you away because they are waiting for transporters to load. Now, some number of years ago, we interviewed the new owners of World Racing League. I'm going to say Todd Smith. And literally we're
Sounds
talking
about right, but
we're talking 3.5 years ago. And they were talking about they were going to make some changes to the structure of WRL. And those changes I'm going to say they worked. because it is a well-run, smoothly done, organized race series. Now, I tell you that to tell you this. I remember having a conversation with Jay Lamb one time, and he said, all everyone does is Lemon is they're LARPing, live action role playing that they're race car drivers. And I'm going to disagree. I do believe that Lemons is absolutely about performance art. It's about community. It's about finding people like-minded in the tribe. If you want to live action role play that you are a race car driver, WRL is where you want to be, because there is hardcore serious equipment there. And the reason I could not get onto the track until 6 o'clock that night is the paddock at Mid-Ohio is not big enough for all of the semis that are there with all of the teams that are unloading their race cars. And there are any number of very talented, very good racing coaches and racing drivers, both of which I managed to run into that weekend, that have been guests on our show. Tyler Hoffman, who we had on the show a number of years ago, he races Super Lamborghini. He is a principal with Kingpin Racing. And if you want a high level experience where you can drive a Toyota Supra or a Mercedes AMG GT in competition, he can take care of you. It is an eye-watering price, but he will deliver that value and more. So if you have the means, absolutely get your bespoke driving suit and sign up with any number of the teams on there. And we will happily give you Tyler Hoffman's contact information. Tell him we sent you. I got to go over there and say hi to him and his lovely fiance. And they were running a top-notch operation, and those cars ran all weekend. And for a while, some of them were in contention, some of his higher end coaching clients that he has brought up to speed. So if you are a little bit more towards the Scott Tucker scale of things, where you have means and disposable income, but you still have a soul and you don't rip off working class people, because there was a lot of doctors out there on this weekend. WRL is it's a great place to be. So that was so Thursday night got in. Now, we had mentioned this on the preview show, I think it's like 4 episodes ago. I was running with Palomar Solar, the Palomar Racing team, and they run some vintage stuff, and then they've got two they used to have two E36 M3s that they have prepped, and they've been running for any number of years in WRL. And they are a little bit more towards the Lemons scale. You're still gonna drop $25,000 depending on the track for the car for an entire day. And you break that up
$25,000.
Correct. Now that's not per person.
3 zeros.
That's for the car for the whole weekend. And that comes with full race prep, full support, everything you need. You won't be fueling your car. You won't be doing anything. And they will also have professional drivers there available to coach you and, get you quicker and faster and more capable through that one. And you can split that among 3, 4, 5 people, however you guys want to do that. And given the level of experience that I was there, absolutely, it's worth it. The fact, they had to keep fussing at me because I'm coming from a different background, and I'm grabbing gas cans and I'm grabbing wrenches, and they're like, "Stop it. You're a driver. That's not what we do here."
That's so weird.
Yeah.
And uncomfortable. No, just because we're so used to doing our own stuff. So I'm like,
finally their crew chief gave up, and I was refueling once we had an issue on Saturday. And once that car was on the trailer, I was refueling the pro car because I had the suit and I can handle a gas can.
As long as you do it, and it's not you, as long as if you were to do this, do it as well as the professionals. Because if you're now, you're like, I'm mental, right? To just you as an example. Oh, I'll do it. No problem. Oh, I fucked that up, right? Oh, too much gas. Oh,
exactly.
You shouldn't be doing that because it's not your job. No, I'm sure you didn't do that.
Everybody there uses the dry brake system. And,
right.
And they, WRL is actually very smart. Your gas cans are limited to 6 gallons because they know we're all going to cheat and put 6 gallons in them anyway. Mm-hmm. The only mistake I made is the first time I went out there, I'm expecting 25 seconds to empty that can. It's about 10. And I'm sitting there and the guy looks at me and like points. I'm like, oh, the can's empty. And so
Oh,
I made that
there's that.
mental. So you can dump 3 cans and you're allowed to do this while they're strapping in the drivers. And the
so
gas,
bad.
yeah,
Why?
the refueling was never the limfac on that one. So you were able to dump 3 cans into this dry brake long before they even had the other driver tightened in and ready to go.
Haven't we seen fires when you're fueling, and what if you're
have.
putting your
Mhm.
driver in the car? That just seems, I mean, I know it's racy and you go faster and have there's no time limits on pit stops, correct?
Correct.
I don't think so.
And in fact,
That's fine.
they have a mandatory number of pit stops, and you can only be in the
right.
car for a certain amount of time. And this is all I've fallen off of our schedule, but yeah. So
You don't, that's okay.
we got there Thursday, and then when they finally let us all in, we got in there. It was me and a group of drivers at we had the mutual friend and Carl Nelson, Lahala Independent BMW in San Diego, and he knew all these guys from Vintage Racing, and Austin, John, me, and Dan, and we were going to be running the B car. So we all met up Thursday night. It was really we helped unload the truck, and we all stayed in the same Airbnb, and it was really funny because all of those guys live in the San Diego area. And they were so excited because just down from our Airbnb was a lovely little place, the River Rock Inn, nice little local bar just in Lexington, Ohio, just outside of the track, where you could have a very nice burger and fries and a local microbrew for $16. And they're from San Diego. They're like, you can't get a burger for $16, it's much less a beer.
I'll
and
take
everything,
it all.
Yeah. So
Order 3.
We ended up eating there like 3 nights that we were there. 'Cause
Okay.
it was good service and good food.
Yeah.
So Thursday, then we all talked about it, and Friday was practice day. Which
Does everyone have to practice on Friday, or is it like what's the deal with practice?
correct. If you are running that weekend, yes, they need to get you are required to do some practice laps.
Does every
So-
driver have to do a practice
that was my
laps,
next
or
question.
does just the car?
So I'm gonna say yes to every driver in every car, but there were some teams that showed up just to race Sunday. And as you mentioned, when we did the WRL episode, Saturday and Sunday are 2 completely separate races.
Right,
They're
right,
at the
right.
same place, they're run by the same organization, but it's 2 separate races, and you don't have to do both of them. So we just
Why would-
accepted that it was mandatory, but
Is
I
it
know that there were cars that
cheaper?
showed up Saturday and didn't do any practice. But you know what?
Uh.
That's probably something they worked out with the organizers.
Is it cheaper? I mean, I guess you pay by the
It's
day.
included-
You pay by the
it's-
race.
It's
just-
included in the
No, it's
entry
a race
fees.
fee. Yeah.
That seems odd that you would say I'm only racing on Sunday.
It does. I would think
Whatever.
if you were just only going to race, you would only race on a Saturday and then get back home in time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Yes. Okay.
so-
Whatever. You
yeah.
do you.
So Friday, one of the cars had to be dynoed. They have an on-site dyno team that they've subcontracted this through. So you have to do it there and they do, and then they seal your ECU so that you cannot adjust
What
your
does that
ECU
mean?
afterwards.
Just put a
So that
sticker
you
on it.
can't, yeah.
I just wondered
Cover a
seal.
port or something like that so that you
Mhm.
can't load in another hotter tune
Got it.
afterwards. And you dyno the car, and then they class you according to power to weight.
Got it. Yes, that makes sense. We talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
About
And
the
we were
levels.
well within both. The Anderson brothers do know how to build a race car, and they had it built. They were there was only one other team running an E36. Everybody else was running E46s or better. And these,
Mhm.
especially their A car with 2 of their drivers were actually running the IMSA race at Sonoma that weekend. So they have a good reputation for putting those cars on the podium. They were, as we started the weekend, they were leading the championship for GP3. Yeah. So Friday there was some practice. We took the car out there. It was snowy and crappy and wet until later in the afternoon. We just got ourselves familiar with the track, and then went home, did some prep work, and then went home and got dinner at the Red Rock Inn again.
That's great. And we definitely talked about the potential weather because we were saying that Pittsburgh was going to has the
Yeah.
potential to be the same. And of course, we know what
Nope.
happened in Pittsburgh. So it was so
But
cold
yeah,
and windy there.
it was snowy and wet
Yeah.
and miserable. And I just wanted to go back to the desert where I could finally get warm. This is horrible. People aren't supposed to live like this. Luckily, the Andersons also have a tractor trailer, semi truck like everybody else. So they had their tent over, they had the sides down. So we had a
It
place
was
to
huge and
get out of the car.
amazing and
and
What?
nothing compared to what some of the other teams are bringing out there. It is random vandals had to bring their B trailer out because their primary trailer was at the IMSA race at Sonoma, and they're another arrive and drive that you can run with out there. So yeah, they had their not as nice semi trailer. It was yes. This is it just literally was one of those we are not in Kansas anymore kind of situations. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's so much.
Saturday, it's race day. What's going on?
Saturday, it is race day. One of the things we did Friday night, as we had never raced together, and all of them are sprint racers. Two of them spec Miatas, one of them spec 944. And so we started talking about driver swaps and how we're going to do them and where you stand and walk through it. And we worked on the driving order, and I was trying not to take over, but I'm like, okay, look, just we'll start from this point. These are suggestions. This is what we do. And your role is defined by the position, not by who you are. And this is how this works. And you stand here and you do this. And they were all very, very receptive to it. And then to the point where they're like, well, okay, I'm uncomfortable with this because my head turns a different way. We make this modification. We do this. And we had it all worked out. And we spent about an hour literally just verbalizing, going through the driver changes. Okay, so it is after Dave and before Austin. So I'm standing here, I'm doing this, I move around to this side of the car, I do these things, and bam. And our driver swaps were well within a competitive range for a group of folks that just got together the night before. We were getting drivers in and out of the car and getting them strapped in and ready to go in 3 minutes.
That's great.
Yeah, it was really good. And the team was really, really excited about the opportunity to do that. So, on Friday, we had a couple of offs. It kind of hurt the car a little bit. So, we ended up having to do some work on that one. And then on Saturday, we had another off, and we don't know if this contributed to it or not, but the engine let go. So Saturday night, kabloom. And we were going to write the whole thing off.
What kind of kabloom? Like what
Yeah, I was
failed in
gonna
the
say,
engine?
what-
The next to last driver, I was going to take the checker. The next to last driver that was out there, and we'd had an extended stay in the pits because the splitter had come loose. So we had to rip that off up by the garages and then put it back out there. And the driver got about a 20-minute stint on the car and came in and said the rod's knocking. And as he pulled in, the rod was quite clearly knocking. So we pushed it up to the pits, and we were going to write it off, but the Andersons had a spare engine. And by 11:30 that night, she ran.
Okay.
That's great.
It
I
is
certainly
great.
have done this before.
Yeah.
They've
Yes.
done that fast.
Yes. Carl Nelson and Ben Tongsai, who runs an independent BMW shop in Chicago. They've all been friends for a while. They had that engine in and out in just a few hours. We almost thought we weren't going to get out Sunday morning because the oil cooler line had broken. The AN fitting had broken in there, but then we figured a way just to plug it off because it was still cold. We didn't need the oil. And rather than risk the car, they put one of the pro drivers in the B car. He went out and said, we can't win with this because this engine's actually faster than the other one. So there's no way we're not making 50 more horsepower than what we dynoed on. But yeah, it really feels great. It's really, really strong. And yeah, the oil temperature didn't move. So we didn't really
Great.
need the oil cooler out there.
Fantastic.
And yeah, boom. And so Sunday morning,
Not boom. Not boom.
not
No,
boom,
that
not
was
boom.
Saturday was boom.
Saturday was boom.
It was fine.
Yeah. And one of the things I did do Saturday night is I spent my time not being of any use swapping an engine. I rebuilt the splitter on the front of the B car. And then immediately it got damaged on Saturday, so we had to pull it back off. But we managed to get the bumper back on the car.
What does rebuilt mean? What did you have to do that?
So the previous one, it's that Aluma sheet. It's the two thin pieces of aluminum with the foam in between
I think
them.
it's called Alumalite. Yeah.
Alumalite. That's what it was.
I've tried to buy it, but I can't find anywhere that sells the whole sheets.
Yeah.
They just won't sell it to you because you're not cool enough.
Apparently.
Well, this was a pre-made cut
Oh,
unit for E36s from Turner, and it bolts to a lower bumper plastic splitter that they have. So it had gotten pretty torn up. So we started with a clean one. We drilled the holes. We got it all mounted in front of the car, made the adjustments with the hacksaws and had it ready to go. And it also kind of got, roughed up a little bit, and we had to pull the lower Aluma sheet off, but we were able to keep the original molded plastic Turner piece on. So we were in no danger of winning the podium, but we were digging ourselves out of last place pretty well. And as anyone saw, so they put me in second because I didn't get any track time yesterday, and Austin wanted to make sure that I had a chance to race. And if you haven't seen the video, 3 laps into my stint, an Aston Martin decides to use me as a braking barrier as they exit into the pits. It knocks the front end off, and by the time as we got it up to the trailer and did an assessment, the car is actually a complete write-off. It's gone. So it will never grace a racetrack again. I had some unpleasant words, much like the words I used with the Priceline customer service. And there were some videos of me flipping off the car every time I came around the track. But the driver of that Aston Martin, as I was no longer at the track, did come by, apologized, then saw the damage of the car, apologized again, then saw the in-car video of me pointing them by and apologized the third time. However, just, to stay on brand, it was a father and son team that had rented an Aston Martin for the weekend. And yes, Dad was a dentist.
Cute.
So,
What was
the
the
amount of
damage
money
to
you're spending does not
car?
necessarily promise skill.
Never.
Yeah.
It never does. Look at Lance Stroll. I'm just saying.
Oh,
What?
Chrissy with the metal chair.
Sick burn.
Bam! Suck it, Lance.
You get burned like Grosjean.
What was the car to the Aston? What was the damage to the Aston? I'm sorry.
None. I think
None
it
at
chewed up
all?
it chewed up their numbers. The way we came in, his
I don't think I've seen the video.
front left corner just absolutely plows straight into the front right of the BMW. Almost right in the wheel.
Caught the suspension of the BMW, which is
Yeah.
which
and
got
ripped
the squishy bits.
and ripped the fender liner, everything off of the frame, and shifted everything over, and even bent the shock tower brace.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if that car has lived a long racing life, it probably was perhaps weakened in those areas already.
This is how we know it
contacts.
was a write-off, because the guy that put it on the frame straightener last time said, "This is the last time."
This is the last. We're very familiar. So yes.
Yeah.
Not the
Yeah.
Mazda. Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
And
Yeah.
it was terrible because all the pro drivers had started in that car, and they were like, "Oh man, we really liked her. She was,
yeah.
she was full of fond memories for us."
I completely understood.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's where our Honda is.
So
Okay. So in general, how did you feel about the quality of driving that you didn't get to experience as much on track as you would like, but you could witness it from the stands or talking to the other drivers? How did you think it was?
So the quality spread is equally what you will see in lemons, but with much fewer cars. There's not a middle. You have professional drivers in this series that are working. They're using this as a launching pad into IMSA or into one of the other series. Sarah Montgomery was there. You've got Shift Up Racing. You've got folks from Haggerty. You have factory Toyota Supras out there running that. And of course, Randy was there. So you have
Fish? No way.
That's what I'm
great.
going to do when I win $1 million is I am going to sponsor Randy Bish to run in WRL.
Yeah.
But
Good luck.
you knew and you learned to judge very quickly. Am I running up on a pro driver or am I running up on a spank? Not a spank. I think it's a spunk is what it's, checkbook racer. And you knew corner, as they entered the corner, who knew what they was doing and who had no effing clue and were just there. Those Audi RS3 race cars, there were any number of those on the track, and no way should I have been able to get around them in an E36. And several of them, it was like an A car taking overtaking a C car. I just flew past them.
Was
Chrissy.
it typically by car? Oh, would you fight? Was
Like-
checkbook racers, were they all in one car, or is it changed like we do in Lemons Racing when you have a driver that's great and then all of a sudden you're like, well, that person is not who I was racing against
yeah.
5 minutes
Oh,
ago.
they changed drivers. Clearly.
Yes, right. Yes, right. So was it?
Yes. By and large, you learn to avoid certain cars because you can
Yeah, it
tell
was
they put
by
they put all
car.
the amateurs in that one.
Right.
But every now and again, you had the Jekyll and Hyde cars.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the ones that were all full of pros, you didn't see them for more than 30 seconons. They knew how to
30?
overtake. They knew how
30?
to, well, because you'd see them coming up in the mirror.
No, that I was giving it.
Yeah.
less than that.
Interesting. We talked about the NPO ones, the little tiny Daytona looking prototypes. Charlie Stricker, who I used to work with extreme experience, he is now their motorsports development company.
Oh.
Every one of those cars was owned by the company that builds them. And
Right.
their racing program is a bit of an employee reward. So they had 4 cars out there, including one of their new ones, which is testing a 2.5 liter Mazda engine, as opposed to the rest of them that run the 2 liters. And they all know they're in tiny little cars that don't come up to the door handle of a BMW. They run lights on the top of it, and they are very, very good about not getting themselves into situations where they get squished. So while they are all motorsports professionals, not most of them will not go on to a professional racing career. They all knew how to drive, and they all knew how to stay out of trouble, and they all knew how to be seen and avoided, all of that kind of stuff. Your IRS3s, yeah, those cars, the Toyota Supras. I found myself passing Toyota Supras that I should have not been able to pass. And then, this is on Friday. And then 5 minutes later, here comes the Toyota Supra, the same one that I just, and it clearly just runs me up, comes to the inside, presents that they are going to pass me, and then makes a really clean pass. And I'm like, you change drivers.
Yeah. Yep. That's always fun. It's like,
Yeah.
wait, wow. When did they get fast?
Yeah. But the quality spread is a curse, not just of the series that we've run, but all of them, because Sunday morning, while they were contending for the lead, Sarah Montgomery's Audi R8 got knocked hard off track by someone racing out of class. So that just did not understand. You have to slow down for a corner, and you can't use a car to bounce off of. It's not
Plan usual.
Andretti karting. So she had a bit of a post about that on her social medias.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Now the cars, we talked a little bit about it. We've seen everything. I mean, E36s, E46s, but also R8s and Supras and RS3s.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Those cars, every car there. Wow. This is why I say it's a great place to go LARPing, because you are getting a IMSA quality preparation by a lot of teams that typically run both. And a lot of times also they offer coaching services. They've got data analysis. They'll walk you through what you need to do to be faster. They'll coach you lap by lap or whatever it is you want while they're driving. And they've got live stream data on there. A lot of them, you are required to run a camera in WRL, and a lot of them have that camera feeding right into their pits. So they know what's going on as it happens. Those cars are immaculately prepped and really, really, yeah, that part is really fun.
Were there any shoestring kind of teams that you saw there? Or I mean, how many people? Anybody with an open trailer, or no open trailers? I mean, how many people without semis? I mean, we're talking single digits, right?
Like ours.
No,
Enclosed.
there was nobody
None?
like that.
None?
There were teams that were out semis, but they were in Super Duties with 2-car hauler, super long,
Wow.
yeah,
Nice
couple of,
trailers inside.
couple of buses with stacker trailers and
Not
yeah.
Chris's COVID project of adding some shelving and making a
Nope.
little shelf out of
No,
plywood
yeah.
and
No.
They
Behind your daily driver.
yeah,
Yeah.
they would have put you on the school lunch program if you rolled up in the Cadillac with the closed trailer.
Oh.
Um,
Okay.
Actually,
Well,
no, I scratched that. There was the other team running
once.
the other team running an E36 had bought the old Palomar gooseneck trailer, and nice bunch of guys, and actually pretty good and very clean drivers. Yeah, they were there. But even that one, it's an extra long gooseneck trailer that can fit 2 cars, and it has the full up awning and everything like that. That was probably the
Next
poverty
closest.
level.
The
Yeah.
poverty level. Oh, that's so sad.
All
And they
right.
hadn't rebranded the trailer, so it still said Palomar on this Palomar Racing on the side of it.
It's their fault. They're
Yeah.
they're also broke. No, they're not broke, but what you what?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So now how did you think the event was run? Like stay on schedule, enough staff, things explained clearly, quality meetings, things like that. You've run
Yes.
in
With
staff
everything.
of events before. How did you feel it was run?
Actually, yes. I hadn't even really thought of it that time, but I didn't feel like my time was ever being wasted. And there were a lot of meetings, but every staffer knew what they needed to have, and they were more than happy to point you at a website or hand you a thing, or hey, you didn't get this done beforehand, fill that out over there real quick and then just jump back up here. That way you don't have to wait in line. The folks that had to weigh the cars and the folks that had to do the dynos on it, the dyno could have been run a little better, but I know that's a subcontract issue, and I think we weren't the only ones complaining, because it did take us like 3 hours to get the car ready to be dynoed.
Goodness.
But the rest of it, yeah, the award ceremony, everything's on there. When they said something was going to happen at a time, it happened. My only real beef is I had to go have a conversation with the race steward after my incident and bite my tongue because I was representing another racing team, as he told me that it was 25% my fault.
Hmm.
The accident, and
Yeah.
I feel like you're just saying that because you can't not give me something to walk away with to, area to improve. And I just, okay. Yeah. He's like, see, when I'm instructing, one of the first, and I said, I'm going to go ahead and let you know that I'm also a racing instructor. So no, but that was as rude as I got with him.
You'd think
Okay.
that as a racing steward, you wouldn't necessarily automatically assume that you have no experience or limited experience, even if you're new to the series, that you have to have some kind of experience to be racing in this league. So, okay.
He was older, and we've all seen it. And this is what has given rise to the popularity of these amateur series. Is there a whole lot of people that in the 70s and 80s went to all the right racing schools and they won all the right events and they've got all the stuff, and they were told if they followed this formula that they would be professional racing drivers, and they're not. And now they consider themselves the gatekeepers. And this is what Haywood Wagner has been raging against with the SCCA. This is what you are seeing change with NASA, but you still just see some of these, older guys that they need to begin every conversation with their resume of everything that they've done, raced, and won, and then tell you why you're terrible. It's getting fewer and fewer and far between. It's infuriating every time I see it, especially if it is to someone who is younger, who is not privileged, and let's just be honest, white. I hate that. So I'm not going to say he was one of those guys, but he's absolutely one of those guys. So he needed to let me know that this was his world. He was in charge, and I was privileged to be there and being mentored by him.
Right. And you're like, thank you. You such wisdom that you have impressed upon me. It's lovely.
Good. And lastly that I've got is, how was Mid Ohio to drive? Especially new pavement, whatnot. You had a few laps on it.
Mhm.
I've only
Yes.
done it in iRacing. What'd you think?
I love Mid Ohio, and we've talked about this offline, you and I. It's another one of those great old tracks. If you had the opportunity, you should go. It's VIR, it's Nelson Ledges, it's Road America, it's Road Atlanta. There is just a feel to Mid Ohio that you are not going to get anywhere else. And the repave, just enough to keep everything interesting because nobody had it shacked. And there is a material that gathers up as the pavement is run on for the very first time. And this was the first time since the repave that anyone had been on it. And it makes it a little slippery just offline. And you knew as soon as you got offline, the car was wiggling a little bit. And that was, I felt like me and a lot of the other racers out there, that was just an excellent little additional piece of the puzzle to solve. Mid Ohio is a super fun track. I enjoy it. I like facilities. It's great. The little town out there found a fantastic coffee shop. We talked about the restaurant, and they are very much a racing town.
Well, it's been around long enough that they have gotten that way, just kind of like many of the other very old racetracks. And also, your sentiment is exactly what most people say. I don't think I've ever heard somebody be like, yeah, I don't really like Mid Ohio. Because it's all the rage when you go to NASA Pittsburgh, which we have been going to Great Lakes. Yeah. We had been going to every year, and everybody there was like, oh, because they go to Mid Ohio because that's part of Great Lakes. And everybody's coming from Great Lakes or going there or whatever. And everybody always says, oh my gosh, have you been there? And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, you have to go. Right. Like, so your sentiment is very much what most people say. If you've been there, that you just drink the Kool-Aid and you're all over it.
It reminds me, we talked about Laguna and Barber. There are turns that you'll get, but you'll be like, oh, I'm missing something there, and you'll obsess over that turn. It's rhythmic. There's not any place where you ever feel like you're behind the car. And then the back straightaway, that's okay. Text my wife.
Yeah.
Scroll through Insta for a little bit.
Do taxes.
Okay, now we can downshift, slow down. But it's actually a good place to just catch your breath, do the sweep of the gauges, and then check out who's coming, who you're going to pass. So it's not as entertaining in Barber where there's always something. So you do have that very long straightaway, but the rest of it, a lot of fun.
Good. Cool. The one thought that I had, and it sounds like I probably already know the answer, but were there any nightly parties or were there any get-togethers at all? Just the whole team just leaves. Everything shuts down.
Not the whole team. All the drivers leave.
Oh, of course.
And
of course. The minions have to work. Ah, I understand.
Yes.
Got it.
To that end, because the Anderson brothers, they are a little more blue collar. They've got their buddies. And so guys are coming over. We got to get all the prep done on this one, or so-and-so, broke a wheel on this one, or blah, 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 blah. And they just come by. So there is not the cold natured rivalry that you would see in certain other series. So there are friendly people there. None of them are drivers. They're all team owners, and they're all team mechanics.
Yeah. It's like the underground minion, like the service staff, almost like you're all the service staff and you're all chatting with each other, and they probably know where to get parts and know how to do it. But
they've bummed stuff off each other. And oh, hey, go see the Palomar, because they're from San Diego, so they get a good keg of beer, which we did. So it was we remember the video. I want to say it was AER where Matt was at VIR with Amanda, and he posts the world's saddest douche video where he's holding a claw and you can hear the oonch, 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 and he just does a slow pan through the entire paddock at VIR, and there's not a soul there.
Mm-hmm.
It was not that. It was, it was friendly. It was happy, but I didn't talk to any other drivers unless those drivers were team owners. So yes. If you're at a WRL race, hang out, wander around, go talk to people. They're friendly. They're welcoming. They'll talk to you about how their day's going. They want to hear how yours is going.
Good. That's fine. It's just not that if there's a lot of, most people go away. So yeah, that makes sense.
But if you think about it, those are the people you want to go away. So those are the ones you
Well.
are going to talk to anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
Fair.
Overall thoughts. This is great. Thank you for sharing all of your experiences. Would you go again? Would you recommend? Although recommend is you have to
no,
be
if
you
you
have
have
the
the
means.
yeah, if you have the means, this is a great way to spend it. You're not going to get a Lemons experience, but you're going to get some high quality track time in a very well prepared car. And if you want to pretend that you're the racing driver and you want to, show pictures of you and your team and your bespoke matching driver's suits standing on a podium, at the board meeting on Monday, yeah, absolutely, go for it. You're getting what you paid for. It is good value for the money. It's like a Mercedes. It's a lot of money. But
Yeah.
no one ever buys a Mercedes and goes, well, this thing is crap, unless it's a CLA. But yeah. I'm trying to land that metaphor, but it's a Mercedes. You're going to pay for it, but you're going to enjoy it. You're going to get what you like.
Good. I love that.
And I will throw this disclaimer out there. I didn't pay for this. So I just had to travel out there.
Everybody's like, where was your new cash flow? No, just kidding. I'm sure they're
that,
not. I'm sure they're not.
And these guys, we'd gotten involved with them when we'd run the 25 hours at Thunderhill, and they initially came out there. They were both vintage racers. They've got pair of amazing Datsun Roadsters, and they're very good with them. They've got a BMW 2002 that they run, and just recently, in the last couple of years, they picked up a Ginetta. Really, really cool stuff. And they'd come out and they fueled us for 25 hours, and they got bit by the bug, and they've got this good crew of young drivers that they are grooming, and these guys will probably go on to professional stuff. And they've offered some, they've got a couple of interns that are working on like electronic stuff that go to a Cal Polytech in San Diego. So they are providing opportunities, but they wanted to get back a little bit to more like what you were talking about, Chrissy. They wanted to be, oh man, let's all sit around and have a beer and stare at the race car, and the kind of a deal. So they reached out and said, hey, what are you doing this time? Like to have you. And yeah, so that's how I got there. I would have to hit a really, really big lottery before I would start doing this on my own, because I look at what it costs to run a WRL weekend, and while it is a good price, I think, what can I do with limits for that? I mean,
like all of them.
Yeah, I could have a competitive Simca. And maybe my brain has just been too warped by decades of lemons racing. I don't know.
That's funny.
So if you listen to this and you're like, oh, lemons, it's the performance art is not my jam, but I've got money. Yeah, go rent you a seat at WRL. You'll enjoy it. You'll also get humbled because you're going to go up there against a 20-year-old kid who has forgotten more about racing than you're ever going to know, and they are going to embarrass you. So also just be prepared to learn some things.
But then they're going to leave the track and say, wow, that old dude is really slow. Do you want to be friends with them anyway? No, that's okay.
No.
You're not missing anything.
But you do get to say things like, Matt Millen. Yeah. The guy that just won the 24 Hours of Daytona. Yeah. Me and him used to race each other back in the day. Yeah. I remember one time I got around him at Mid-Ohio.
He's like back in the day was like
parked in the pit.
High school.
I got around him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I showed that kid a thing or two. You didn't, but tell everyone you did.
They're probably like, who? What? What guy?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Good.
Great.
This was fun. It's fun to learn insider information about a race series that we just occasionally make fun of. So that's great.
And we will continue to make fun of, but in our defense, we make fun of our own race series.
Correct. All of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just made fun of IndyCar.
Yeah, and F1 for that matter. So there's that. Yes. Great. Okay. I don't know that we have a next segment as I wrote here.
I have a none of the above
Great.
concept.
Th-
Let's
Throw
go
it in.
for it.
Throw it in
New
here.
segment. None of the above.
None of the above. None of the standard stuff. All right. You have heard me talk about and recommend anything that Sam Smith has done over the years. He used to write for Road and Track. He wrote for Haggerty. He still writes for the New York Times, occasionally for GQ, all of these things. Today, as we are talking on Amazon, and there will be a link in our show notes because I'm going to type it up before I post this. Sam just released his new book, Smithology. Sam is one of us. Sam is a car guy. Sam graduated college and immediately went to work as a mechanic in a shop until he started working in writing professionally about race cars. Sam once sold his couch for a set of race tires so that he could go racing, and sat in the grid marveling at his genius while went through every other piece of furniture that he could sell and maybe even run an entire season before he realized, oh God, this is the definition of addiction. These are the type of things, if you're not following Sam Smith on Instagram, you should, because he's funny. He also has a new podcast with JV Braun, or with Braun and Ross Bentley, called It's Not the Car. He is a master storyteller, wonderfully humble person, but he's also done some amazing stuff, including running a Jaguar at Goodwood and getting to drive Jim Clark's Lotus on the banking at Indy. So imagine someone like you with a much better ability to tell stories has these amazing opportunities, and you get to read about them. That's going to be Sam Smith's book. It's already in my Amazon account on its way to me, and you should be doing the same. And tell him you heard about it on this podcast, because I've been trying to get him to come on forever. He went on Garage Heroes and he won't come on mine, and I'm friends with the guy.
I want
So,
better. I mean,
I know, right?
I mean, sorry, Bill. We're great. We're great friends.
Bill will say that we are the 201. They are the 101, now maybe 102. So
that's right, because they all have SCCA licenses, and I don't think any of us do.
They do, but they still call Chris when their engine breaks. So there's that, which is great. Vicky learned stuff, so that's good.
Yep.
I'm actually very interested in next week's topic, because
there's a question mark, and I'm not sure if that guy wants to do it.
I think we can do it. We
I
can
think
do it.
I think we should. I think it's a
but
great research, because as I am recentering, I have some projects that I am looking at, and I'm going to have all kinds of questions on this. This is a marvelous discussion.
we're going to talk a little bit about fiberglass. It's a subject that you always think, oh, you can just fiberglass that, or, okay, how hard can it be? And I'm not an expert in fiberglass, but I have done my fair share of fiberglass work because of boats over the years.
We built a boat.
Yes.
So there's that.
Cue the picture of the two of you covered in fiberglass dust.
Yeah, we'll
standing
find
next
that.
to your boat.
We'll absolutely find that picture. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I started doing fiberglass for repairing boats when I was a teenager, and have learned enough to be dangerous. But that has come into play within a lot of stuff we've done in the race car over the years. And that might just because I know how, and I have a milk crate full of epoxy and stuff, and I can just easily, when I don't know what to do, I just make a boat, and it works. So we're going to talk about the basics of fiberglass for a novice and getting started and things like that.
Fantastic. And if you have fiberglass questions, email us.
Sure.
Are you ready to itch? We're all going to be ready to itch.
So itchy.
So itchy.
It's so itchy.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for downloading us, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. Hope you'll also join us in the world of driving, racing, building, and having your car brought in a semi-truck, because everyone can be a racer, even you, if you have a big enough check. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes, give us that 5-star rating. Don't care what you thought. 5 stars and tell us why. Any thoughts, questions, show ideas, emotional outbursts, drop us a comment anywhere that you can do that, like Facebook, like everyone.racers@gmail.com, like Everyone Racers and any of the other social medias. Text mental pictures of your junk at 484-243-0455.
That's how we know all about that mid-engined Magnum this weekend, because people were sending us pictures of their junk. It was awesome.
Excellent. So yeah, thanks again. Until next week, keep the shiny side up. unless there is no shiny side. And of course, there's a shiny side. It's a nice race car. Someone takes care of it.
They buff it for you.
They do.